Let's look at SummitBridgeCapital. They support international relocation and expansion. Their goal is unlocking global potential. That's their core mission.
Into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to look at the real, tangible friction of stepping into new global arenas. Specifically, we're unpacking the core value proposition presented by a firm called SummitBridgeCapital. Because when we talk about international relocation or cross-border expansion, there's almost always this hidden layer of difficulty, stuff that doesn't just, well, show up on a standard roadmap. That friction is exactly what we're breaking down today. We're distilling a super concise, powerful message from our source material to figure out exactly how to move forward. Now, I want you to actually slow down and think for a second. Is navigating a new culture difficult? It sounds like a simple question, right? But it really forces us to reflect on a pretty universal human challenge. Just think about the pure friction of stepping completely out of your comfort zone and dropping into a totally unfamiliar environment. The rules of engagement completely change. The little nuances of how people interact, they basically shift right beneath your feet. It's not just about landing in a new time zone or a new geography. It's a fundamental shift in how you operate, literally day to day. So the crucial point is captured perfectly right here in our source material. The text just states it flat out. Navigating a new culture and language can be hard. I love that it doesn't sugarcoat the experience, you know? It completely validates that real, tangible struggle of culture shock. And notice how it calls out two distinct but deeply connected hurdles: culture and language. Because think about it, you might be able to memorize a bunch of vocabulary or use an app to translate the words, but if you don't grasp the underlying cultural context driving those words, you're still going to be completely lost. This dual barrier is exactly what makes international transition so incredibly demanding. But thankfully, our source doesn't just leave us dwelling on the hardship. There's a distinct, super confident shift in the narrative here. Enter SummitBridgeCapital. This is the dedicated entity stepping up to intervene. When you're staring down those steep cultural and linguistic barriers we just talked about, SummitBridgeCapital actually presents itself as the definitive solution. They're positioning themselves as that partner, the one ready to step right into that unfamiliar gap with you. They act as the exact structural support you need to actually cross over those obstacles. Let's move to and see how this builds into a really clear methodology. What's fascinating here is how the exact promise of SummitBridgeCapital is broken down into a tangible two-step pathway, pulled straight from our text. Step 1, get the tools to succeed. Notice they aren't just giving you vague encouragement, like, you can do it. No, they're equipping you with actionable tools specifically designed for success. And that preparation, it leads directly to step 2, unlock global potential. I really want to highlight that word, unlock. It strongly implies that your global potential is already inside of you or your organization. It's just trapped behind those cultural and linguistic barriers. The tools they provide are quite literally the key to releasing it. And this brilliantly illustrates the complete transformation they're offering. On one side, we've got the before state, navigating the hardship of new cultures and languages. That's the friction. That's the inherent difficulty and the barrier to entry that holds so many people back. But contrast that with the after state, unlocking global potential today. By leveraging the specific tools provided by SummitBridgeCapital, you actually cross over from struggle to success. It's a total paradigm shift. You go from being hindered by a new environment to actively thriving in it on a massive global scale. Which brings us to a final vital question based on all of this. What does your unlocked global potential actually look like today? The source material urges us to act today. Now that you know these specific tools actually exist and that the friction of a new culture and language absolutely doesn't have to be a permanent roadblock, it completely reframes what's possible for you. It's a seriously powerful, inspiring thought to leave you with. Think about the boundaries you could push. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder exactly where your newly unlocked global potential might take you.